I don't like people thinking that I've been done for grass and other drugs when I've been done for sleeping pills. But I can't do anything about the fact that the story lasts longer than the fact that you've told people it didn't happen, you know? But I have a huge propensity for guilt because I was the boy in a Greek family who could do what he liked from a very early age, and did.
Because the culture in the family
because
was to
the culture was
boy.
patriarchal and it was to indulge the boy. I have two wonderful sisters who never got their way as young Greek girls, obviously. And I grew up with this terrible feeling of guilt. I had feelings of guilt as a small child, knowing that I was always the one that was going to get the easy ride. And I carried that propensity for guilt in strangest ways. And I think I've finally realised one of the reasons my life has been so extreme and has felt so, in some ways, self-destructive, is that, it sounds arrogant, but I never had any feeling that my talent was going to let me down. Something strange happened. At the age of about 8, I had a head injury, and I know it sounds bizarre and unlikely, but it was quite a bad bang. I had it stitched up and stuff, but all my interests changed. Everything changed in 6 months. I had been obsessed with insects and creepy crawlies. I used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go out into this field behind our garden.
To those of us buying your records at the time and watching the videos, it was a very, very heterosexual image. I mean, I remember...
I think so.
I really did think so. When I watched the video...
You women, honestly.
When I watched the video to I Want Your Sex, I thought that man is clearly a very heterosexual
Oh, I
man.
see, yeah. Well, there was I was with Kathy in the video and, you know, this was basically...
And you weren't having a cup of tea, let's just...
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. And this was, you know, it wasn't as though it was a complete lie. You know, it's not that I had stopped having sex with women, but I was already fully aware that in itself was a lie, because what I really had made a connection to was an emotional part of my sexuality, and that was clearly gay. So there was all that feeling fraudulent as well, because I'm not... I think what people have to acknowledge, if they know my behaviour since I've come out, or since I outed myself accidentally, but probably not accidentally, I think there's a level of honesty that's quite obviously natural to me, that I'm uncomfortable with anything else. So I try to understand, firstly, how much I love my family, and that AIDS was the predominant feature of being gay in the 80s and early 90s, as far as any parent was concerned. And my mother was still alive, and every single day would have been a nightmare for her, thinking about what I might be subjected to. Yeah, when I was 19, I came out to various friends and one of my sisters, and I said I was going to talk to my mum and dad, and was persuaded in no uncertain terms that it really wasn't the best idea.
By who?
By friends, but they weren't really... I don't think they were trying to protect my career or their careers. I think they were literally just thinking of my dad. It was a strange thing. I don't know if people will relate to this, but there have only been 3 times in my life that I've really fallen for anyone. And each time, on first sight, something has clicked in my head that told me I was going to know that person. And it happened with Anselmo across a lobby. So I met him in that lobby, and I didn't understand why the click happened. This is a man in a Brazilian hotel. I'm never going to see him again. Why did that happen? I didn't understand what was going on. This was the first love of my entire life. This was the first person I ever shared my life with. It was tragic that I lost him, but it was a wonderful, wonderful experience meeting him.
You were forced to come out.
Yeah. Well, you know, what were you going to do? Say it was a one-off?
Right.
In my case, you know, I always knew it was going to happen sometime. I was going to get outed one way or another. And the reason it took me a good year to admit to myself that it was subconsciously deliberate.
I read that you said, and of course, because I read it, I don't necessarily know if it's true, but that it would not have happened
if my mother had been alive.
If your mother had been alive.
No, it would never have happened.
Why?
I'm not saying the cruising wouldn't have happened. I'm saying I would never have put myself in the stupid position of doing it in America, where I knew the level of homophobia. I think for me to do that, I was absolutely tempting fate. I think I was sick of The Secret. Now that there wasn't any reason to be quiet, now that my mother was no longer in this world, and I was proud of my sexuality. Strange way of going about telling the world. But I think it was almost like it had to be that. The battle I'd played with the press was so much one of privacy, and I felt so loath to actually sit and say, I am gay, the 3 words they'd wanted for years. it really wasn't something that needed holding on to anymore. But I just couldn't do it in the regular way. I think I had to do it and fool myself.